Heatran blazes back into raids Tuesday, January 7th until Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. So Heatran's going to be the new Pokemon featured in the legendary raids, and a lot of people are very excited about this, but also curious about Heatran. They haven't really thought about it in a long period of time, and there was an upgrade to Heatran's moveset where it actually has access to Flamethrower now, and Flamethrower makes Heatran a better Pokemon. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Of course, in the Deep Dive series, we focus on this Pokemon from the raid perspective, PvP, and then most recently also including versus the Team Rocket leaders to see if this Pokemon has any type of viability. And of course, answering the important questions like, should you power it up? Should you invest in unlocking a secondary charge move? I'm very excited to get into today's episode, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Heatran, with a max P of 3,754, Heatran is a dual-type Pokemon of Fire as well as the Steel typing. So I'm very excited to get into today's episode because Heatran actually has a lot of potential, which we are going to go ahead and talk about, and that centers around its stats. Now go ahead and check this out. The first thing that caught my eye was that overall ranking of 16th in Pokemon Go. This does include all of the Generation 5 Pokemon, even the unreleased ones. And as far as its best stat is concerned, that attack stat of 251 is insanely good. And just for comparison's sake, let's go ahead and take a look at Heatran versus Moltres, and you can see some similarities in the stats. As far as the attack stat is concerned, they both actually have an attack stat of 251, so even in that playing field. And then of course when you go to the other stats, I honestly think that Heatran ends up having the upper leg overall. So what exactly is going on with this Pokemon? Why don't we end up hearing about it as much? Niantic loves to nerf Pokemon in a different way, regardless of the stats, and that's going to be through the moveset, and unfortunately for Heatran, it just kind of fell victim to that. Fire Spin was good, Bug Bite was not, Fire Blast was not, but at the time, that's all we had access to, Fire Blast getting beat by so many other movesets. Iron Head, hey, that gets stab benefit, but we don't have a Steel-type quick move, and Iron Head's also bad, so that makes it even worse. Stone Edge, not going to be that helpful as far as, especially from like a rating perspective. But hey, we've got a little bit of light going on with Flamethrower. Flamethrower is a better move than Fire Blast. So in this regard, you do have a bit of an upgrade happening by now having access to Flamethrower. Yet there's still other moves that can beat it, such as Overheat, as well as Blast Burn. So there's going to be a lot of competition with Pokemon that have the ideal movesets, and then not only have the ideal movesets, but in some cases even have better stats. So I figured the first thing we would do is take a look at it from the raid perspective. And we're going to go ahead and use the Pokemon known as Genesect. Now this is from Generation 5. I just thought it would be a fun raid to do. Is it going to be a raid boss? Who knows? But it is going to be fitting as far as the typing is concerned, with it being Bug/Steel typing, where it is going to be double weak to those fire types, which is why you're seeing so many fire types on the screen. But go ahead and check this out. In the number 1 position, we actually have Chandelure. I don't think people are quite accustomed to realizing how amazing Chandelure is as a fire type attacker, but as it becomes more available over time, I think it'll kind of settle in. But as you can see, you do have Heatran in at the number 4 position, of course behind Moltres. Moltres with the move Overheat is definitely helping it out in that way. But we've had a major upgrade to the fire typing because of these Community Day movesets, so that's something that we hadn't really considered in the past, but you've got a Pokemon like Blaziken actually taking the number 2 spot in this case, so that's something to definitely remember. So unfortunately, Heatran is not necessarily that solid as far as raids are concerned. But surprisingly enough, it did better in a different perspective, and that's going to be versus those Team Rocket leaders. If you end up going up against Executive Arlo, there is a situation where you are going to have an incredible result as far as Heatran is concerned. If you end up going up against a Steelix as well as a Shadow Scizor, you are going to see Heatran in the top 3 options on both of them. Number 2 for Steelix, and then number 1 for Scizor. So if you're ever going up against Arlo and happen to have yourself a Heatran, I think that could end up being a solid option, especially because of that combination between the two. But that's going to be something that you will have to consider. You will, of course, have to power it up and then decide from there if it is going to be worth it. But hey, if you're into doing these Team Rocket battles, then it'll definitely be worth it to you. And then finally, we're going to take a look at PvP. So as far as PvP is concerned, I wanted to go ahead and showcase Masters because that's actually the best results that we ended up seeing. It actually ended up getting better as the leagues went up. So in this case, it ended up maxing out at a 28th rank in the Masters League, including all of the Generation 5 Pokemon. And as far as the movesets are concerned, you've got Fire Spin, Flamethrower, and then finally Stone Edge. I'm assuming for coverage in that case, but it is going to be best as just a general fire type attacker. And I think Flamethrower really did help it out in that regard by not having Fire Blast. So as far as the rankings are concerned in PvP, I would say it's actually looking pretty good. So now we have to ask ourselves the important questions. Is Heatran worth powering up in Pokemon Go? Should you unlock a secondary charge move? For me personally, I'm going to go ahead and recommend you to not actually power up Heatran. Instead, I would just say to go ahead and catch Heatran while you can, go ahead and build up that candy count, and just wait for in the future, if Heatran ends up getting a better moveset than Flamethrower, it's going to be a beast, and it is a Pokemon that you definitely want to have. But I'm just going to look at it from that perspective. Of course, you could go ahead and invest into it. If you do, I would at least look at it from the Team Rocket standpoint, and then from the PvP, it's not bad in Masters League. It's just going to be a heavy investment to, of course, unlock the secondary charge move, and then it's ranked 28th in Pokemon Go at this point in time. So, of course, that's going to be completely up to you. For me personally, I'm going to give it a big no in this case. But I do like Heatran. I think it's a cool design. I just honestly think it got robbed as far as the moveset is concerned. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode with a final question. What do you think about Heatran in Pokemon Go? Do you plan on using it? If you do plan on using it, let me know what you want to do with it. Let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. If you want to develop a deeper connection, I would highly recommend you to check out Patreon. We've got a lot of really cool things going on over there. Check out all of these supporters that we have. We are almost up to 100. We are also posting some special content, some behind the scenes work. And if that is the type of thing that interests you, I would highly recommend you to check it out.